back to part 2 of our episode on job layoffs. Now we will continue with the episode. Basically, after you got laid off and everything, right? When you start to process after your nap, when you took a nap, you wake up and then you realize, oh, I just lost my job. What is the next thing that you did?
Panic applying jobs.
Okay, so applying.
So immediately I updated my LinkedIn profile, my resumes, and I started to apply every single job that appeared on the LinkedIn job portal itself. So everything that I
recommended.
Anything that was under the recommended part and I saw was a semblance of what I've been doing, I applied. I just apply. I think by the end of the day, I kind of applied like more than 50 jobs already.
Well, how do you, because you said you update your LinkedIn profile and resume, right? Do you do it like manually?
Manually? What do you mean by manually?
Means like you just straight away update whatever they just send. Because this, like, was the resume built from scratch? Because you said that going on Canva looking at templates and all.
I think for myself, because I've seen my LinkedIn profile as a live update of my professional career, right? So every time like I've gained a new experience or like I've done something significant enough, I would keep my LinkedIn quite updated. So browsing the resume template was more towards like I wanted to find something that I could use to copy and paste my experience over. I didn't have to do it from scratch, which is why I highly recommend like both of you to keep your LinkedIn profiles updated, because you don't want to be. Can you imagine like getting laid off, getting bad news, and then you're like, oh shit, I still need to do my resume, and like I cannot remember what I did the last 5 years. So like doing periodic updates every quarter, I think that's a very healthy cadence, and it also forces you to think about what have I done the last 3 months. If in the last 3 months there's nothing noteworthy, well, maybe you need to be worried.
I see.
But anyway, it was just a copy and paste. So I started to spam apply jobs and stuff, and I think out of the 50 jobs, right, none of them replied to me. So
how long do you wait?
Wow, my first response only came in, I think 3 weeks into my job search itself. But rewind back a bit, right? So after that initial panic application of jobs, I got burnt out already. I got like, shit, man, I'm damn sian of applying jobs. So I stopped. So I went back into a schedule. So initially when regardless of your stage of job search, right, whether you're a fresh grad, you are looking to leave company, or you got laid off, this was a routine that I set up. I look at job searching like a work day itself. So you wake up, instead of doing your job now, your job is to look for jobs, apply and stuff. I have a sequence. Every morning after breakfast, I will browse through the various job portals to shortlist like a list of jobs that I put it in 2 categories. One is things that I think I can do. The other one is jobs that looks interesting to me. And I will go through the whole process up to lunchtime, go for my lunch break, come back from my lunch break, and then that's when I start to see if there's anything I need to do to my resume or my cover letters before I make the application itself. So it became very structured. By the time, so when it comes to 6 p.m, right, I stopped doing it. It's the end of a work day for me. So I just repeat that like a work cycle. And I think that routine gives you a little bit more comfort. You don't have to. It helps to limit my overthinking. Initially, when I was panic applying, right, even when I was on the bed, I was also applying for jobs and stuff. So every job I see come out like, hey, this looks fun. I just apply. So after a while, you get burnt out already. It's the very similar feeling when you get burnt out from a job. So you really have to pace yourself. You need to know that, especially in today's market, it's going to be damn long
or the rejection, like how only one.
Yeah, I mean, like if you read through just browsing through some of the articles you find online today, right? It's true that there's indeed lesser job in the market right now. The number of individuals applying for a role, it's way more than the jobs available. And the other scary part is that for experienced professionals like myself, having worked for a decade, you would think that you would get a job quite quickly, but it's not the truth, because again, the pool size is dwindling, and senior people, even like myself, I'm very open to applying for jobs that are more junior. So can you imagine now your playing field, it's getting even more competitive. Say for example, you are applying for a junior copywriter, and you only have like 2 years of work experience. Having done this role for close to a decade, I'm more than happy to apply for a junior copywriter as well, because I just want a job. So now you are competing with
because
somebody.
the supply is so
Yes.
low to the point where you just take whatever.
Correct. And it would make sense for the hiring manager to actually hire the more experienced person lah, because for what I'm paying and what I'm getting back is worth it. But that's not always the case. I mean, there's also a lot of consideration. Sometimes I might not hire that person as well, because I might think that this guy has been too molded. I don't know if he can be reshaped into a junior role. But that's beside the point. But yeah, I mean, I feel that having that routine really helps, like making sure that you don't outpace yourself and then you burn out, and that's where it gets bad lah, because once you burn out, you're not going to apply for anything at all. Yeah, and be damn ready for, it's not even rejection, sometimes you don't even hear
no
them
response.
reply. Yeah, the no
be
response.
Ready to be ghosted.
The no response is the worst, because sometimes you're
every
like,
day is Halloween because got a lot of ghosts.
Okay, sure. Yeah, but you don't hear back. That's the thing. You don't hear back, and that's very irritating. Yeah, but it's the truth. Like the jobs that you see in portals right now, right? There's a good number of them that are not actually actively hiring. The posts are there purely because recruiters or HRs are just collecting resumes for when like budget is approved, or for when there's really an opening lah. So you might apply for the job thinking that it's open, but actually it's not. It's just like a library for them collecting resumes.
Oh, what the? Okay.
Yeah.
Like wait, but you said right, it took you waited for about 3 weeks.
Yep.
Until the first response came back, right?
Yeah.
Do you do something different?
Yes. So in the first 1 week plus, I was applying with it was a one size fit all lah. My resume, I didn't change it. So that same resume, I use it to apply for every single job out there. On average, I would say out of 20 jobs, maybe only one would respond. So then I wanted to increase my odds, right? So then I started to think back lah, when I was a hiring manager myself, what were things that I would capture my attention to reach out to the candidate. And then I realized like seeing that the resume is matched to the job description I put out, that was a very good green flag to me. It kind of showed me like this guy or girl kind of recognized that there were certain skill sets that's required, and they tailored the resume for that particular job application. So what I did was I kind of used ChatGPT to reverse engineer the requirements. So what I would do is put in the entire job description into ChatGPT, plus the company's profile, website, and stuff, right? And then I would ask GPT to actually review the job description, and also review like the company's background, culture, etc. And then list down like the requirements that they think is necessary for me to apply for this role. So after that whole review, GPT would then advise like, okay, based on your resume, these are certain things that you kind of want to highlight to match what the recruiter is looking for.
Oh, interesting.
But point to note, I'm using the paid version lah. So then,
ChatGPT.
Yeah, so
okay.
you can upload like websites and stuff, and I feel that it reviews it more thoroughly as opposed to the free 3.5 version.
Do you have any tips? For example, like when you said you plug all these into ChatGPT, right?
Yep.
What was some questions, instructions, or prompts do you give to ChatGPT in order for it to respond the way that you want?
Okay, so you have to look at ChatGPT as though he is your employee. So he is your team member, like a junior team member, or rather maybe even if it's your kid, you kind of want to give very clear instructions to and expectations of what you want GPT to do. So you can't just like, I mean you can just put in the job description into ChatGPT and say that create a resume for me. It will create a resume for you, but is it a good one? That's what I'm trying to say. Like it doesn't happen that way. You kind of need to guide it, handhold it a little, and also put in a comparable amount of human effort to make it great. So being very specific at what you're asking for. So like I will tell GPT that I'm looking to apply for a role in this company. This is the job description that the recruiter has put up for your review. I also need you to review like the company's website, its products and services, etc., to find an understanding of what ideal candidate would look like for this role itself. So after the review, I will ask GPT, ask me as many questions as you want to help you put together this resume. So then the questions...
You ask ChatGPT to ask you questions.
Yeah, because for me, I see GPT as like a platform. It's because it's AI, right? So obviously it thinks in a very logical format, and it gives you questions that sometimes I don't even think about it. So certain questions they will ask me. The very obvious questions were like, list down some of your past experiences that are related, in this case, to marketing. What were some key projects that you worked on in this company, etc., etc. And so there was a list of guiding, like it was a questionnaire lah, and then I just filled out everything, and that took me like almost like an hour, because I think GPT asked me a total of 30 questions, if I recall correctly.
Wow.
And on top of the 30 questions, after I answered, there were follow-ups on what I said. So it was if you imagine GPT to be the interviewer, that was what was actually happening. GPT was actually interviewing me, and I was giving my answers back to GPT lah. So after that whole 1 hour cycle, GPT came up with all the copies required already, like saying that, okay, this is how you should structure your resume. And then I made some edits myself, and then I plug it back into my LinkedIn profile and into my resume, and then I applied. So this is the part where, okay, there's a little bit tricky part to it, because your LinkedIn profile is your always on resume. So I had to write my LinkedIn profile in a little bit more generic sense lah. It wasn't tailored to a specific role, but to paint myself as a brand and marketing professional. But my resume is the one that I will write specifically to the job that I'm applying for. So when I did that, my chances increased by 3 times lah. So out of 20 jobs I applied, I would at least hear 3 introductory calls from the recruiter first. And to me that was great. That's a 300% increase compared to like the first time where it was 1 out of 20. How I then further improve my chances is, again, this is a pay to win kind of scenario. I'm using LinkedIn Premium as well. So I have the opportunity to see like who is the job poster or who is the hiring manager for the role. And with LinkedIn Premium also, you are able to actually like DM the person directly. So after I've applied for the role, I usually also write like a personal message to the recruiter or hiring manager lah. In past context, that DM would actually just be a cover letter. But in this case, I reach out directly to the person and say, hey, I've came across this role, yada yada, I'm very interested, I already applied for it, looking forward to hear back from you. It's not always a win lah. I mean, of like all the 20 messages I sent, actually, so far I only received like 2 replies from it. Honestly, it's just, they don't reply, because there isn't a need to reply lah, to be honest.
Okay, then I have another question, because you said that ChatGPT actually helped to improve your chances of getting the first callback, right?
Yep.
And then you also mentioned that you were a hiring manager. So if you put yourself in the hiring manager's position, would you be able to then differentiate, for example, your first resume, the all-in-one resume versus the one that was tailored by ChatGPT?
I feel that you can, or rather I can, because I've been using ChatGPT quite a lot in my work. So I can tell when an output is done by GPT and when it's done by human. Yeah, there's a certain style that GPT writes lah, and if you don't do any like human intervention to it, you just copy and paste solely, right? You can tell that it's written by ChatGPT one.
I see.
But to your point, whether a recruiter or hiring manager can see it, I think it really depends on how familiar they are with generative AI outputs. If I would, not to stereotype, but I think if my parents will be the ones seeing it, I don't think they can tell lah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple of ways that recruiters actually review your resume. In my experiences, I had the opportunity of using applicant tracking systems, or ATS for that matter, and also the opportunity to be reviewing it as a human lah. So ATS are
what's ATS?
Applicant tracking system. So it's basically a portal where HR used to, as what it says, track the applicants that have applied for a job. So it's really just like a filter. It sees like this job that I've applied for, how many people have applied for it, at which stage of the interview they are. It's really just a process-driven platform. It's scary because what happens behind the scenes in like the last few years, it's not transparent, so to speak. If you actually go and look online to see like how does ATS work, while there may be some generic explanation on it, there isn't actually any behind the scenes of how it works. Unless you've used it before, you don't actually know how it works. So then because of the ambiguity, people are afraid of it. But actually it's not. It's really just a sorting platform. So like if Harry Potter sorting hat is an ATS, that's really an ATS. It's just how it works.
So it sorts into the resumes into categories?
Yes. So there's one particular feature of ATS which I want to talk about today. It's the one where it kind of categorizes you, or it scores you based on the keywords used. So when say for instance now I'm looking for a creative director, right? There are certain keywords in my job description that I would hope to see in the applicant's resume as well. So okay, off my head, I would say like creative direction, strategic thinking, brand consulting, brand management. Those are the keywords that if it appears in the candidate's resume, right, it would be ranked higher just because the filtering would use those keywords to find. It's very similar to how like SEO keywords work.
Yeah,
so if let's say now you're looking for an article on how to prepare my resume, articles that have good keywords in it would appear first. It's just by logic. It helps hiring managers lessen their time in reviewing. Can you imagine every day, like if 100 resumes come in, you can't go through 100 resumes by yourself, right? So you need this system to let you know what is the top 10 candidates that you should reach out to. Is it perfect? It's not, but it helps .
Then do you suppose that ChatGPT can create ATS-friendly resumes?
Yes,
at least to aid in the first process.
Yes, they can, because essentially it's a system trying to game the system. So ATS is a system, ChatGPT is a system, right?
Is ATS AI?
That I do not know. I'm
Can you
pretty
imagine
sure
AI is helping AI, then all the human out there is like...
No, I'm pretty sure like they have certain kind of learnings that...
Algorithm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is but if you're asking me if it's that one I don't know. I'm not sure. But why I say ChatGPT can help is because from the job description itself, sometimes it will encourage you, or it will prompt you to say that there are certain things that you should highlight first. There are certain keywords that you should use, which sometimes as a human individual you might not look at . So say for example now using that creative director as a sample, maybe the keywords that the person is looking for, it's brand management, brand consulting, creative strategy, but you wrote it as I've been doing creative thinking for the last 10 years, but there wasn't a match, right? So then you just don't
think out of the box for the last 10 years.
then it doesn't appear in the ATS really, and you just get left out . But okay, there's a caveat to that. The caveat to that is like usually ATS systems are used by larger organizations and MNCs where there's a very huge intake of applicants. So if you think about Google, Facebook, Airbnb for instance,
all the big companies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the number of applicants that they receive on a day-to-day it's much higher than SME right, or startup for that matter. So startups and SMEs are typically resumes are being reviewed by a human recruiter, which is also why sometimes they take them long to reply you, because that one person is reviewing like 10, 15 resumes a day. So yeah, in general, there's two main categories. If you're applying to a large corp, you're going to want to use corporate jargons, keywords that match what the company and job is looking for.
Oh, okay.
You are writing for a system, so to speak, and when you're applying for like startups, SMEs, you're writing for human. That's where your creative flair can come out. You can make very nice Canva templates, have a lot of images, boxes, yada yada, graphics to make it interesting, to capture the human attention. But when you apply the same concepts into an ATS-friendly resume, it will screw you up, because ATS reads it like codes so it reads it in lines and stuff. So if you have a lot of like boxes and stuff,
they may get confused.
Yes. So a very common template that I've seen in resumes is like the left side is you have your picture, then your skill sets. The skill sets sometimes is like tools that you use. Then on the right side is your professional experience, right? So when ATS reads, it reads it as one line. So you will read it very weirdly that the sentence is broken up. So ATS-friendly resumes are actually quite boring in structure. It's really like a line-by-line item. It's very clear it's a very nicely written blog article with like H1 headings, H2 headings, subsections, and then your pointers. So it's a very nicely written blog article, so to speak, or listicle for that matter.
Okay. Then what about you, Afia? When you were when you're applying for jobs out there, right? Have you ever have to tailor your resume for different job companies out there?
Okay, here's a funny thing that I think I did. So I use an AI platform. So it's
You also
called
did AI?
yeah, it's a resume builder. So that resume builder contains keywords that helps. Of course, it's ATS friendly, but I use this ATS friendly resume for also like SMEs as well. In my opinion, I feel like corporate jargons and keywords that was reflected in ATS friendly resumes works as well on another SME related startup or stuff like that. So again, I feel like I agree with him to a certain degree. As long as you are able to explain yourself what you are capable of doing, I think it should be okay. Now, I have two questions that I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
So they are related to LinkedIn. The first question is in Easy Apply. Do you still
Wait,
use it?
what was the first one?
yeah,
The
LinkedIn
Easy Apply feature.
Oh, okay.
Do we still use it or is it helpful?
This is my own opinions. I'm not sure if it's true. I feel that applications that is easy apply, I feel that those people are just collecting resumes.
Oh
my God,
I think
for real?
because
Okay.
through my own testing period, right, for these 2 months I was looking for jobs. None of the jobs that responded to me is the easy apply one.
Oh, interesting.
So okay, fun fact, sometimes when you apply for a job, right, then there's some questions, the LinkedIn will ask you certain questions. That itself is really a semblance of an ATS. So it meant like there's always one very common question, or two rather, is like, are you willing to travel to the office? Then there's a yes and no. Then another question is, do you require sponsorship for a visa or something?
Right.
If you answer, like, especially for the employment one, if you answer yes, the ATS would flag you out already, because sometimes the company just don't have any more EP positions, right? So that form itself is actually part of the ATS filtering already.
Oh, wow. I did not know about that.
So in my opinion, I think LinkedIn jobs, in particular, because I've been using it, right? Like jobs that has that preliminary ATS filtering questions are jobs that are genuinely looking for people. I think because all my responses came from jobs like that.
Oh my God, because, okay, maybe this was, this is a change in the market and all that for the past 1 or 2 years, right? But when I was like applying for jobs many years back, I applied through the Easy Apply way, and a lot of companies actually got back. So I think maybe there's a change in
Maybe.
Yeah, like the practices change nowadays. They just collect resumes using that feature.
I feel that recruiters today, or like hiring managers today, are giving more hurdles for interviews as a first level of filtering.
Oh, they ask more questions, more
yeah,
tests.
make it harder for you. Like, wow, every job that I applied for that went through to second round had assignments on. So previously not everyone had lah. I mean, every now and then there will be one, but now it's every job that moves on to stage 2 had an assignment. And assignments, in my opinion, are getting harder. Maybe because I'm applying for more senior roles lah. But it's tedious, man. It was to the point I felt like I was working, because I was doing the assignments as though it was like my full-time job really. So it was damn tiring. So to a point where I just wanted, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm very tired already.
Again, that's burnt out, right? From doing all the assignments.
Yeah.
If you have so many assignments for so many interviews, how do you keep up?
Just do lor. I mean, see how desperate you are lah, right?
It's the job for the day.
Okay, so the what I try my best to not double work. So assignments that I do, right, I've always used a similar template. So then I take it as like I'm trying to build my portfolio also, because other assignments eventually I keep it for my next job interview also.
Yeah.
Okay, so then here's a little bit of a trick for me lah, that I think helps to put you in the spotlight even more. So usually jobs that I get past the introductory stage, right, sometimes they would give you an assignment upfront already. To me, if you deliver just what the assignment asks, you'll be measured by what the assignment asks. So I tend to over deliver lah, Singaporean, right? So
we're Asians, not Bijans.
So typically, again, because I'm applying for marketing related roles, they would usually, what they evaluate on is like your copywriting skills, copy editing skills, and sometimes they ask you to do like a campaign on how you envision certain campaigns to be running lah. So I would do that, plus add-ons. I would write in. Sometimes I will also submit like my thought process when I'm running a campaign. What are certain steps that I think about? In particular, because most of the time when you are doing assignments, right, the person that's evaluating it besides having like free ideas from you, they're also actually evaluating your thought process. They want to know how you actually got from A to B. So I feel like the thought process is equally or not or more important than the actual campaign itself. So usually I will have like a separate document that shares my thought process, and I further value add lah. So on top, like in marketing sense, sometimes on top of a campaign, there are certain other like aspects that you want. You kind of need like a microsite, you need your EDMs, you need certain social assets and stuff, right? I finish the whole thing. So I do like really a full campaign out, and I'm confident enough to say that you can just take it and go, and you can run as a live campaign lah. And that's how you kind of have to showcase yourself lah, because otherwise, if you use the same yardstick of measurement with everybody else, it's very hard to stand out. And I think in today's job market, you really have to do it lah. Which is why also like after a while I got them same, because it's like, I need to do this all over again. Yeah.
Wait, Afia, what's the next question?
Okay, my last question is basically, when you see a position that is so popular, hundreds of people apply for that position, do you still go for it? And what are your chances of getting a callback?
Like you die want the position.
It depends on how much I want it. So it came to a point where actually there was nothing left to apply already. And like my list was not updating anymore. So then I was like, okay lah, just apply for this and see what happens, right? There's like certain jobs that I see like, I really like this job a lot. I think it's very interesting. So I will apply via LinkedIn. I will find a company website. I will apply via their individual career portal as well. Then I will do whatever I can to find who is the team lead for the hiring manager, the team lead, or the HR, and then I will drop them a personal email as well, or a message on LinkedIn lah. So I try to make myself as the keyword as visible as possible.
Right.
Was it successful? I've heard back from a couple lah. I think in total, I mean the number is very small. I think less than 10 got back to me out of all the jobs I applied.
Okay lah, better than nothing lah. Better than the first 3 weeks of nothingness, you know.
Yeah.
It's encouraging when you see people get back to you.
Yeah. But okay, again, like it goes back to pacing. You really have to pace yourself, because really will burn out one. Yeah. And it gets damn demoralizing when you hear like no replies, rejection. And don't be afraid to ask for feedback. I've asked for feedback from companies that went past like a certain stage. Like after I've presented my assignment and stuff and didn't get through, right? Sometimes I will ask for feedback lah. There was just this one very company that post feedback. I actually did a follow-up. So then he gave me the feedback to say that certain things did not work as well. I then did a follow-up. So I kind of sent in, I used Loom actually. A Loom video is a video recording.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of screen recorded myself with like a new deck of slides that I prepared to address the concerns that he had lah. It went through actually. So it went through, I managed to get another sit down with the senior stakeholders, but eventually it still did not pan out. I mean, stars just won't align.
When it's meant to be, it will be lah.
Yeah, but like again, like I mentioned, you have to be very visible.
So you carve your own opportunity in that sense.
Yeah. And if they say no, then if you want to take it as a no, then sure. But if you think this is something you really want, just try it lor. But you have to be very particular in what you choose lah. Obviously, I'm not saying do it for every single job, because it's not possible. You do it for only the jobs that you really think that, I really want to be in this company. And then fast forward 2 months, I managed to land a job through that whole experience itself. So there was a lot of to and fro's, offering my services.
Well, but I think it's good because it shows that you have the passion, the effort, and you are kind of determined, you know.
I mean, in some way, I was just desperate lah.
That's one way to put it. But then, like, to some degree, I think it's very important, like what you said, to put the extra effort to over-deliver.
You really need to want it. Like, I feel at the end of the day, this is like survival of the fittest. Or in this case, it goes to the person that wants it the most.
Okay.
And if you give up halfway, somebody else would just come in. Somebody else like me, I would say, would like, when you took no as an answer, there will be somebody else like, oh no, I'm coming in. I'm going to do whatever I can to get this job. Right. Then you lose out already. Yeah, no one actually told me that you can apply for a job again after you get rejected. Yeah, I always thought that once they reject you, you have to move on already. No, or rather like, I never thought that you could reapply to the company again. I thought it's done, you have to go already.
Okay.
Actually, no, because my friend, when she quit her first job due to a very unhealthy working environment, right? She wanted to apply for this. She was an occupational therapist based in Australia, and she wanted to apply to this, I think it was a hospital, if I remember correctly. And when she got rejected, she also did the same thing that you did. She actually asked, any reason? Is there a reason why? You know, is there something, anything that I can improve on? And they actually very kindly said, they shared with her what could have been done better, or like, what went wrong. And then they proceed to say they would love to keep in touch with her. So to this day, I think there was kind of like it's not like, oh, I take it as a no, and then she just go on her merry little way, and that's where the bond ends, It doesn't work that way. Apparently, she really wanted to get that job, and she said, okay, I understand, and I sort of comprehend and acknowledge, and moving forward, let's keep in touch, just in case. So there is, to some degree, another relationship being formed between her and the hospital. And I think that's very important, because it's always good to know that even if you cross paths with someone or a company one time only, right? I think it's good to at least, have some form of like acquaintance, or like get to know, like a working relationship with them. Yeah, so that in the future, you never know whether you could be working with them or working for them.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, like, I've always believed in not burning bridges lah. I think relationships is very important. So you might not agree with me, but I'm a true believer of not giving negative feedback. So like, no matter, okay, for whatever reasons that you choose to leave your current employment, I know there are times where you feel very tempted to leave a review on like Glassdoor or some similar platforms, right?
Oh,
my advice is don't lah. Yeah, like, just leave it as that lah. I mean, the experience, okay, why I'm saying this is, okay, for one, your negative experience may just be yours. Like, again, because it's where humans are involved, sometimes it's just it doesn't align, and I think that's fine. You can always, that's where you eventually move on to find something that suits you, right?
It's like how when job layoffs happen, sometimes it could really just be bad luck.
Yeah.
Nothing against you. It's just company is not making money.
Yeah. So
unfortunately, you gotta go. That's it. No
reason why again, like, the main reason why I say that don't leave negative reviews or don't make it public in that case, it's because you never know when you're going to cross paths with their hiring manager again. Like, your boss today in this company A that maybe didn't turn out very well, it could be a case where it was just a case that the company was just a bad place to be, right? But it wasn't an individual that was sucky. So then what happens if that next job that you go to, that is a good place that you really want to be, and then it's the same hiring manager? Like, oh man, then what now? Because that person will know that you left the review, right?
Any last words for those job?
Anyone out there job searching, what words do you have for them? That's the main camera. Yeah.
Pacing, man. Pacing. Just pace yourself out.
Don't burn out.
I think also trust that you actually have the capabilities and experience lah. Just that maybe time is not in your favor right now.
What about those people who are already burnt out?
Take a break lah. Like, literally, like, take
lie down.
Take annual leave from the job search, rest for a week or two, and then come back to apply again. You don't have to do it all the way lah. But I mean, I can understand the stress, because like not having an income and stuff, it's really particularly stressful.
It's a stressful thing for most Singaporeans.
But to be honest, there's many ways to earn a living. Like, it may not be your full-time job, right? So maybe in the meantime, when you are looking, just do some side hustles lah, like from Grab, go to Upwork, do some freelancing stuff. You still can earn
some money.
Some cash
money.
lah,
Yeah. It's not end of the world.
Yep. Okay. All right. I think we are done with the episode. So thank you all for tuning in to our brand new cut. So we have come to the end of this episode on the Marketplace podcast. Thank you, Elwyn, for sharing your experiences. And Afia, thank you so much for also sharing your experiences when it comes to job searching, getting laid off, and also using ChatGPT and other ways to, build a better LinkedIn profile and also your resume, so that you can, at least catch the hiring manager's attention and getting past the first round of interviews. I think all these tips are really, really important. And stay tuned for our next episode when we bring to you more fun and engaging content. Bye!